Hi, today we are going to be making these cute little felt strawberries. You can use these in a variety of ways for a pretend play kitchen, for decoration, or pretty much anything you want to do with them. There's a three-step process. We're going to be using an embroidery machine, a sewing machine, and the last and final step is hand sewing. If we haven't met before, my name's Mary with Sewing for Madison. My passion is crafting and teaching others how fun and easy it can be. So let's get started. Okay, so here's the supplies that you're going to need for this project. I have gone ahead and I've hooped a lightweight cutaway stabilizer for this project. You want to use a lightweight because it's flexible and very light. You can't really tell that it's underneath your project. You can also use a tearaway for this project, but I prefer the lightweight. I've gone ahead and I've pre-cut my felt. I'm using a red 2mm felt, and I've cut it to 5 inches by 6 inches to fit inside my 5x7 hoop. The first part of our design is stitching the outside of the strawberry, and then the second part is the actual seed portion, which is going to be stitched out in white. So let's get started. Okay, our red is done. I'm just trimming my string real quick. And we're ready to do the seed part, which is the white part. You can do black if you want. I think the white just pops a little bit better, but it's totally up to you. Okay, our design is now done in the embroidery machine, and our next step is to trim all the little strings. Okay, I like to make this easy on myself and just use a piece of tape to get all the little strings off. Okay, now we're ready to remove it from the hoop. And cut out our strawberries. Okay, step one is now finished, and the next part is on the sewing machine. Okay, so for this sewing machine, I'm using my very old Pace Setter by Brother. It's the PC8500. It's a sewing machine and embroidery machine for a 4x4 and a 4x7 or 5x7 hoop. So we need to sew up the sides of the strawberries. If you don't have a sewing machine, you can do this step by hand sewing. But before we get started, This PC8500 has an old light bulb for the light, and it's just not very bright. Although I have a nice LED work light above my sewing table, it's still not a very good light, so I'm about to blow your mind. Ta-da! This is a strip LED light that I got online. I'll put the link there, and it has made my life so much easier using the sewing machine. So let's get started with this. I'm using a basic utility straight stitch with the stitching towards the left hand side of my foot. I'm using red thread that'll not show through, and because it is felt stretches a little bit, I'm actually going to run this straight stitch twice, and mainly because this is going to be used in a little kid's play area and I don't want those stitches to bust open. You want to make sure that you're putting your strawberry design towards the inside, because you'll end up flipping this whole design inside out. Okay, that part is done. Now we're ready for the hand stitching part. Okay, so we're ready to hand stitch the rest of our strawberries. So the first thing you want to do is turn your strawberries around. You do this by just flipping around and pushing down that bottom corner as far as you can do that. Now there's a couple things that you can stuff your strawberries with. You can choose to use the polyfiber, poly stuffing that you can get at any of the craft stores. For me, I like to be a little frugal. So what I do is I actually cut up my felt, not the small pieces that are left over from my felt projects, and I use those as stuffing. You might see some fabric pieces in there as well. They work great for stuffing different felt projects. Okay, so the first step of the hand sewing is to stitch all the way around the top here so that we can cinch it closed. Doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody's going to see it underneath the top of the strawberry top. Alright, there we go. Now I'm going to stuff my strawberry. You want to make sure that if you're using old pieces of felt or clippings, that you get to the bottom first and you really pack that in. If you're using poly stuffing, you don't have to do as tight of a packing. You want to make sure that if you're using a felt pieces like I am, that it doesn't feel lumpy in the end. Alright, so here's the trick of holding it while pulling it closed and not having any of the pieces fall out. Also, you don't want to pull too tight because you'll break your string and you'll have to start all over. So now I've pulled my string tight and I'm pinching the fabric here, and I'm going to lock in that stitch by tying a double knot. Perfect. All right, now the top of my strawberry is not as full as I want it to be, so I'm going to grab a couple extra pieces of felt here, use the tip of my scissors to shove a couple more small pieces in. Just make sure if you do this that you don't poke through the side of your berry. Okay, perfect. That looks full enough now. Okay, so now it is time to put the top on our strawberry. So I'm basically going to stitch in an X. I'm going to go up and then back down. And then go directly across. And to the other side here. Across the diagonal. See the little X there? Okay, now I am going to sew on the petal part, or the little triangle parts of the stitching. To do that, I'm going to go on the top part of the petal and then down like this over to the next petal, and you want to pull it a little bit taut, but not like excruciating tight, because that's going to pull the stitches too tight. You can adjust the tightness once you have all of the stitches down. Almost done. One more. Okay, this last one, I'm going to pull this other leaf up a little bit and then secure it with a knot. To help hide your knot, you can poke back into the fabric, come out the side, pull tight, and then trim. The original string gets kind of sucked back inside, and then it doesn't make your knot visible. Whoops, sorry about that. A little slippery when they're small. All right, so there we have. This is the one I just made. This is the one I presented in the first part of the video. And the great thing about these is it's a great thing to use your scraps for. So I use a lot of different greens. I've saved them. I just take another top that I have and I go ahead and free trim out and make as many tops as I can for my strawberries. So I'm going to finish this one up and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so I have all the strawberries sewed up. That's these three here that we were originally working on. But I wanted to mention that if you do not have an embroidery machine, you can still make really cute strawberries. I've made all these pink ones just out of scrap pink fabric that I've had laying around. This is all cotton fabric, but you can use any kind of fabric that you have, any colors that you want. It's the same top design, which is this little guy right here. I just use this paper template that I printed off the internet to make the shape of the berry, and you do the same process. You sew up the side and then sew the top on, and they're just a really cute, fun way to use your stitch. Thank you for tuning into the tutorial today. I hope that you learned how crafting can be fun and easy, and I look forward to seeing all your completed projects. Till next time, happy crafting!